Next, we'll have law and licensing. Committee Chair Carol Lear, are you ready to present your
I am.
items? Thank you.
I am. We'll begin on item 16.3. That was a data sharing agreement request that we have discussed now twice or more. And the committee now moves that the board approve the Duke University Research Sharing Agreement for the years 2010 through 2020 with standards for de-identification language added to the contract, and in section 35.8, changing the phrase identifiable data to de-identifiable data. In addition, the terms and conditions of this addendum to this agreement provide language that supersede any conflicting provisions in the general terms and conditions when and if in conflict.
Okay, the motion before the board is that the board approve the Duke University Research Sharing Agreement for the years 2010 through 2020 with standards for de-identification language added to the contract, and in section 35.8, changing the phrase identifiable data to de-identifiable data. In addition, the terms and conditions of this addendum to this agreement provide language that supersedes any conflicting provisions in the general terms and conditions when and if in conflict. The motion before the board, any discussion? I'm not seeing any hands raised, so please vote. Natalie?
Yes.
Thank you.
This is Natalie.
Thank you. Okay, the voting is complete and the voting is unanimous. Is that how you see it, Vice Chair Belknap?
Yes, if I saw them all.
Yep, I got them. I did my quick check here. Okay, please.
Item 16.4 is R277-505, Education Leadership License Areas of Concentration and Programs. And because this has been incorporated in a different rule, the motion is to repeal the rule. So the motion is that the committee moves that the board repeal R277-505, Education Leadership License Areas of Concentration and Programs on second and final reading.
Okay, the motion before the board is that board repeal R277-505, Education Leadership License Areas of Concentration and Programs on second and final reading. Discussion to the motion? Seeing none, please vote.
This is Natalie. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Natalie.
Unanimous.
Yep, voting is complete and the motion passes unanimously. Please continue.
Item 16.5, similar rationale to the previous one. This is R277-506, school psychologists, school social workers, school counselors, communication disorders, audiologists, speech language pathologists, and speech language technician licenses and programs. The motion for the board is that the committee moves that the board repeal R277-506. I won't repeat the name of the rule again, the title of the rule, on second and final reading.
Okay. The motion before the board is the board repeal R277-506, schools psychologists, school social workers, school counselors, communication disorders, audiologists, speech language pathologists, and speech language technicians, licenses, and programs on second and final reading. Discussion to the motion. Seeing none, please vote.
This is Natalie. Yes.
Okay, thank you. The voting is complete and the motion passes unanimously. Please continue.
Item 16.6, R277-308, new educator induction and mentoring. This is an amendment. The committee moves that the board approve R277-308, new educator induction and mentoring, draft 2 on second and final reading.
Okay, the motion before the board is that the board approve R277-308, new educator induction and mentoring, draft 2 on second and final reading. Discussion to the motion. Board Member Earl, your hand is raised.
Yes, I just have, and I apologize, I didn't go back over the audio from last month, so I do apologize. I have 2 questions. Is this a new rule completely? It didn't say continuation, so is this something new that we're writing? Is there
No.
someone?
No,
So it's already been in place?
It is something, and anybody can fill in extra information, but this is a rule that's been in place. We passed it, as I recall, a few-ish months ago, and it is about LEA induction programs. And initially, it started out very lean, and the staff was persuaded that really LEAs wanted a little more guidance, and so they put in place additional requirements for LEA induction programs in place of simply requiring a general professional learning plan.
So may I ask another question?
And that's the extent of my information. So we'll look to Jennifer Thronson or Malia Height for this. Go ahead.
Maybe this speaks to that local control that we talked about. I'm just wondering how much more, is this going to create an excessive amount of more work for our administrators because I'm just wondering what the workload looks like on this kind of a thing. If someone doesn't mind articulating that, if they would know.
Is Jennifer available? Jennifer Thompson?
Or Malia Height.
I can take this one. Board Chair, if you're all right, I'll go ahead.
Okay, Jennifer Thompson.
Thank you. Jennifer Thompson, Director of Teaching and Learning. Yes, so this kind of modification on language, the workload really doesn't shift. It's being more clear with examples of what it could look like. They've always had to have conversations with their new educators and meet with them and have plans. This plan is, we did take it through the superintendents. They at first with the previous language we had didn't love it. We amended it. This they were happy with in terms of this gives them flexibility as well as some kind of tangible ideas of what those plans could look like without putting any true constraints on that flexibility.
Chair, may I ask another question?
Follow up.
So my question is, which organizations did you take it to? Who gave you feedback?
Ben probably knows better. He was in the meetings. I wasn't actually present. We just get the feedback and then as staff respond. So Ben, would you be able to speak to that?
It's the Utah State Superintendents Association.
So it was the association that responded to that, and I'm assuming they've reached out to their superintendents. Okay, I guess as we're in this era of less is more, this looks like more, but maybe I didn't fully grasp all that. And once again, I wasn't in the committee. I didn't review that, so I do apologize for that. This is a new overall. How old is this? It's not though. It's
This
a couple.
Older rule. Ben, do you have how long this one's been in place?
May I, Chair?
Yes, please.
Ben Rasmussen, Director of Law and Professional Practices. This was originally adopted in July of 2019. February of 2019, excuse me.
Chair, may I add?
Yes.
So the language that was in the previous version is there that's crossed out, documented professional learning plan appropriate for each educator. So a plan has always been in place. That language of professional learning plan is the language we also use in our Apple program. And so it was confusing to the field to have the same term used across different practices. So in this case, we're clarifying the term by saying a plan that kind of addresses these things, and it may include, it doesn't have to. And with that flexibility, the Superintendents Association, in connection with checking in with their superintendents, felt comfortable with the language change, if that's helpful.
Okay, thank you. That provides some greater insight to me. So,
Vice Chair Davis.
Yeah, I just wanted to also point out in one of the lines that was just on the screen in front of us, it was talking, I think, specifically about an LEA specific license. And so, I think it's important to remember also that an LEA specific license is a person who doesn't have a teaching certificate. And so what this does is encourages some help and support for that person instead of saying, write some goals and go to your room and lock the door and maybe we'll see you in 3 years.
Okay.
Chair, just to add further, this is Carol Lear. Michelle Tanner was talking about a very similar process for USDB this morning. When she was talking, I asked her what do they provide for their LEA specific license holders. And I thought she gave a really good description of what USDB does, which I hope LEAs do at least as well.
Okay, I'm not seeing any, we go back to the motion. Not seeing any of their hands raised. So the motion before the board is that the board approve R277-308, new educator induction and mentoring, draft 2 on second and final reading. Board members, please vote at this time.
This is Natalie. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Voting is complete and the motion passes unanimously. Is that how you saw it, Vice Chair Belknap?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please continue.
We have a series now of professional practices rules that will be either continued or amended because their time has come. So item 16.7 is R277-210, Utah Professional Practices Advisory Commission definitions. The committee moves that the board continue R277-210, Utah Professional Practices Advisory Commission definitions on second and final reading.
Okay, the motion before the board is that the board continue R277-210, Utah Professional Practices Advisory Commission, UPAC, definitions on second and final reading. Discussion to the motion? Seeing none, please vote.
This is Natalie. Yes.
Thank you. The voting is complete. The motion passes unanimously. Please continue.
Item 16.8, R277-211, Utah Professional Practices Advisory Commission, rules of procedure, notification to educators, complaints, and final disciplinary actions. Another continuation. The committee moves that the board continue R277-211, Utah Professional Practices Advisory Commission, rules of procedure, notification of educators, complaints, and final disciplinary actions on second and final reading.
Okay, the motion before the board is that the board continue R277-211, Utah Professional Practices Advisory Commission, UPAC, rules on procedures, notifications of educators, complaint, and final disciplinary actions on second and final reading. Discussion to the motion? Seeing none, please vote.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. The voting is complete and the motion passes unanimously. Please continue.
Item 16.9, R277-212, Utah Professional Practices Advisory Commission, hearing procedures and reports. The committee moves that the board continue R277-212, Utah Professional Practices Advisory Commission, hearing procedures and reports on second and final reading.
Okay, the motion before the board is that the board continue R277-212, Utah Professional Practices Advisory Commission, hearing procedures and reports on second and final reading. Discussion to the motion? Seeing none, please vote. Natalie? Board Member Klein?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Voting is complete and the motion passes unanimously. Please continue.
There were two rules that we took no action on. So the next item is 16.12, Utah Professional Practices Advisory Commission, disciplinary rebuttable presumptions. The committee moves that the board continue and approve R277-215, Utah Professional Practices Advisory Commission, disciplinary rebuttable presumptions, draft 1 on second and final reading.
Okay, the motion before the board is the board continue and approve R277-215 Utah Professional Practices Advisory Commission disciplinary rebuttable presumptions, draft 1 on second and final reading. Discussion to the motion? Seeing none, please vote.
Yes.
Thank you. Voting is complete and the motion passes unanimously. Please continue.
And the last item is 16.13, R277-216, surrender of license with Utah Professional Practices Advisory Commission, investigation pending. The committee moves that the board continue and approve R277-216, surrender of license with Utah. Oh, sorry, my page ran out. With
I have it. You want me to-
okay, that with a few more surrender of license, etc., on first and second final reading.
Okay, the motion before the board is that the board continue and approve R277-216, surrender of license with Utah Professional Practices Advisory Commission, investigation pending, draft 1 on second and final reading. Discussion to the motion? Seeing none, please vote.
Yes.
Thank you, Member Klein. The voting is complete and the motion passes unanimously.
That concludes our report, Chair.
Thank you, Chair Lear.
Actually, there's one more item,
Oh.
R217.
Where did I skip that? What item was it, Angie?
16.14.
Oh, see, I am maybe. Oh, I just didn't print my last page, so I am really in the dark. Sorry. Let me see if you'll pull it up, or I can.
You just
I
state for you.
Or just scroll down on the screen, and I can see what it says.
There you
And this is would be R277-217 educator standards and local education agency reporting, draft 1. Oh, no, draft 1. That's the name of the rule. The committee moves that the board continue and approve R277-217 educator standards and local education agency reporting, draft 1 on second and final reading.
Okay, the motion before the board is that the board continue and approve R277-217 educator standards and local education agency reporting, draft 1 on second and final reading. Discussion to the motion? Seeing none, please vote.
This is Natalie. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Member Klein. Did you see it? I didn't see Member Davis's, but it appears that,
No, I didn't see Vice Chair David. There we go.
oh, thank you, Vice Chair Davis. Okay, the voting is complete and the motion passes unanimously.
And that really concludes our report. Thank you, Angie, for the catch.
Okay.